The gentleman yield for 5 seconds?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Attorney General, I would like to make sure we clear, for 2 years, the President didn't put up a nominee for that position, nor did he take advantage of recess appointment. So I know the gentleman was well-meaning, but perhaps ill-informed as to the facts related to the Director. Mr. Desjarlais.
Mr. Attorney General, thank you for being here. If we've resolved nothing else here today, we made it painfully clear that you've been here at least 6 times, and I don't think there's any question about that. But why? Why have we been here 6 times, and why is it taking so long to get the answers that we need? How could we have made this process more simple? If you'll indulge me for a minute, let's just take a hypothetical that I come home from work one day and my kitchen window's broken out, and my boys are there all day playing baseball, and I know it. Well, I ask them how the window's broken. They don't know. There's a bat laying in the driveway. There's gloves laying on the table, but they're just not going to fess up. So, I kind of think I know what's going on, but we can't be sure because they're not being straight with me. So maybe my wife's a little uncomfortable, and she says, well, someone could have tried to break in. Maybe we should call the police and have them come out and investigate to make sure, someone didn't try to break in. So this process goes on and on and on, even though, we know that something isn't right. So at any rate, I just used that loose parallel, and I think you know where I'm going. So you're here multiple times, and you opened your statement with that you are the Attorney General, and that you operate under the highest standards of integrity and professionalism, and that's exactly what you've done and what you're doing, and I really have no reason to question that. But when we start asking for information, and if they could put up the slide about the Stonewall City, can we do it? If we look at this, these are some of the things we've asked for to expedite this process, some of the evidence, if you will. The number of documents that we've asked to be turned over and what we've got, the number of witnesses that we've asked to talk to and what we've actually gotten. And, these are the kind of things that I guess are frustrating for us as we try to get to the bottom of this for Agent Terry's family, and so that these kind of things don't happen again. Now, you said that you were notified probably within 24 hours of Agent Terry's death. Was that what I heard you say? Sir?
I'm sorry.
About you were notified.
I was looking at Fortress Holder. That was kind of interesting.
Okay. Yeah, we can get a copy of that for you.
That's not my house, by the way.
Okay.
Actually, I think it's closer to Disneyland. We're a little concerned that it looks a little too grand for anything in our government.
But did you say that you were notified about 24 hours?
I'm sorry, yes.
After Agent Terry's death?
Yes.
And when you were notified, did they mention the Phoenix project to you?
No.
You had no knowledge that that death was anyway linked to what went on in Phoenix? There was no mention made of that?
Well, Phoenix, I'm sure there was some kind of geographic reference,
Okay.
but with regard to Fast and Furious, I didn't know about Fast and Furious until, later, January, early February.
Okay, so there were no bells going off or any concern about the gun running or anything at that point?
No, none of the people who were told of the murder were made aware of the tactics.
Okay. Let me reference a letter that was dated February 4th, and I think the author is sitting behind you today, Assistant Attorney General Ronald Weich.
Maybe he ought to sit here.
Okay. And he said that he wanted to...
but with all due respect, he's had this hot seat for real more than you have, Mr. Attorney General.
Okay. Well, he submitted a letter to the committee that denied that ATF sanctioned or knowingly allowed the sale of assault weapons and allowed them to be walked. And I think your department had this letter withdrawn. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. How long did it take to withdraw the letter?
It was formally withdrawn in December 2nd. Prior to that, there were a number of indications by me, by Mr. Weich, by Mr. Brewer, that we were not satisfied with the assertions that were contained in that February 2nd letter, but it was formally withdrawn.
Okay, so it wasn't a deliberate attempt to deceive Congress? the letter
Well,
was
I mean,
not.
if you look at the materials that we made available, the deliberative materials we made available, you can see how people were, I think, really struggling to try to get the best information they could to Congress as quickly as they could. But I think they made a couple of mistakes. They didn't. They needed to take more time, and they needed to drill down further.
Inaccurate information.
Yeah, they didn't go down to talk to the line people. They stopped at the supervisory level.
Okay. Well, amazing how quickly 5 minutes goes. But I guess as a parent, I want my kids to do the right thing, and I'm sure as the Attorney General, you want the people who work under you to do the right thing. And so I guess moving forward, how do you feel that you can regain the trust of the American people in light of all that's happened with Fast and Furious?
Well, I'll take issue with you again respectfully. I'm not sure I've lost the trust of the American people with regard to this issue. This has become a political thing. I get that, and that's fine. And so there is a certain segment of the American people, certainly a certain segment of this Congress, that has lost faith in my abilities as a result of what's happened in Fast and Furious. But I think the way in which, to the extent there are people who are willing to be persuaded and who have a contrary view now, I think they need to look at the way in which I reacted to this, the steps that I have taken, the procedures that I have put in place, the personnel changes that I've made, and ultimately what I'm going to do when I've had the ability to look at the minority report. I assume there'll be a majority report, the Inspector General's report, and judge at that point whether or not I have reacted appropriately to what was a flawed investigation, both in concept and in execution.
And with all due respect, sir.
The gentleman's time has expired, so please be brief.
Okay. With all due respect, with what we see here on your house, or not your house, but the letter that was sent in, what may appear as political appears now somewhat as a cover-up, and it seems
the gentleman's time has expired.
A lot of information here doesn't seem to be accurate, and I think that's why the number of hearings continue to go on, because I don't think we're getting the full information.
Thank you. The gentleman's time has expired.
Wait a minute. No.
If you want to react to something very quickly, please.
Well, I've heard the magic word here, cover-up, and I want to make clear that there's no attempt at any kind of cover-up. We have shared huge amounts of information. We will continue to share huge amounts of information. There is a misperception, as I think was indicated in the Deputy Attorney General's letter, that maybe I can clear up now, that we're not going to be hiding behind any kind of privileges or anything to not provide this committee with information that it wants. We are talking about not providing deliberative material, and that's consistent with what executive branch agencies beyond the Justice Department always do. But with regard to things post-February 5th, February 4th, if there is a relevant request, we will respond to that request. The only thing we're not talking about responding to is with regard to deliberative material. That was a great little diagram that you had up there, inaccurate in some pretty glaring ways, but it's not up there now.
And that's what my boys with the baseball implied as well. So.
But
I thank the gentleman, and we can have a later discussion on how many witnesses and how much information and so on. For the Attorney General's edification, and I know Mr. Ron Weiss will help you, we have published 2 majority interim reports, and hopefully he can bring those to your attention. Additionally, this committee is investigating a number of things post-February 4th, including related to the false response, and we hope that will be cleared up once you give us or fail to give us a constitutional basis for withholding. And with that, we now go to the